Hello, Lions. Welcome back. We're going to continue reading Wonder, and we're going to continue working on our plot diagram. Today, what we're going to focus on is the rising action. So let's take a look here. So remember yesterday we filled out the climax. I always feel like a plot diagram is easiest to fill out when you put the climax first. And remember that is where the greatest tension and the big problem is. So as of right now, from what we've read so far, we believe the climax is when Augie dressed in a costume and he overheard Jack talking about him. So the rising action is just, so what led to this point in the story? What are some of the most important events? So we're not going to list everything, but we're just going to think, so what got us to this point? One thing that, oops, I accidentally erased that. No biggie. I'll just copy it and paste it. There we go. Okay, so one thing that happened right before this big problem is, remember Augie was going to dress as Boba Fett, but then at the last minute he changed his mind because that morning on Halloween he was running late and his Boba Fett costume had like a whole bunch of things he had to put on, and he was afraid his dad would be mad because he was taking so long to get ready. So I think that was a really important event, a thing that happened in the story that resulted in this big problem. So we're going to go ahead and add that, and I'm going to zoom in a little bit so you can see better what I'm typing. And let me zoom a little bit more. And I want you to notice that on this organizer, there are 3 different boxes for the rising action. But no, you're never limited to just 3. You may not even have 3 events. You fill it out for however you may need. So if we feel like there's more than 3 rising more than 3 events that would go with rising action, we'll just copy and paste a new text box. If we don't need them all, we'll just get rid of it. So you're never limited to what's on the organizer, and you don't always have to fill out every part of it. It's just you answer until you're finished. Okay, so right before, we believe that one of the things that contributed to the climax, the big problem, was that at the last minute, Augie decided that he would not wear his Boba Fett. And I gotta look up spelling Boba Fett. I'm pretty sure that's right, but I'll double check. My kids are big Star Wars people, so I'll check with them later, or I'll look back in my text. Okay, so at the last minute, Augie decided that he would not wear his Boba Fett costume because he was running late. Okay, instead, he threw on the meeting scream costume. So if that had not happened, then likely we wouldn't have had the big problem that we identified as the climax of the story. Okay, now let's think back. What are some of the other events, important events, that happened to result in this? So thinking back, Augie never would have had this happen had he not started attending the private school. I think it's important that we add that as a rising action. That was an event that happened, is that Augie and his family decided that Augie would begin attending private school. Until this point, August had been homeschooled by his mother. And so after they decided that he would attend private school, and before it was Halloween, I think one other thing that was important that happened is, remember Augie went on the tour at the private school, and that's where he met Julian and Jack. And I think that's really important because it's when we start to get to know some of the characters and some of the friendships or rivalries started. So we'll say Augie went on a tour of his new school, and he met Jack, Julian, and Charlotte. Jack began a friendship with Augie on this tour, and he also started receiving some attention from Julian. So, and we'll say, and Julian started to become a rival. And a rival is kind of like an enemy or someone that is causing problems for you. So I think those are some important things that happened leading up to the big problem. So let me reduce this back, okay? And so I just happened to think of 3 rising action events that led to the climax. But remember, you're not limited to 3, and you don't always have, you're not always going to fill out all of these blanks. You just answer until you're finished, okay? You can always draw your own boxes. You can put sticky notes on your organizer. Never feel like you're just completing this to fill out the boxes. You just respond until you're finished. And so the rising action, again, that includes the events that lead up to the really, really big problem. And the really, really big problem is the climax of the story. And so we're going to continue reading to hopefully get to some of the falling action, which is how the problem starts to get resolved. And we will continue filling out this organizer piece by piece. Remember, the reason why we're doing this is because a good reader really understands what they're reading, and you're able to talk about the plot and how all of these story elements interact with each other and influence each other. That's what a good reader does, to be able to pull out these important pieces and to be able to communicate that with someone else. So that's why we're practicing this. All right, let's get back to our read aloud of Wonder. So remember, we left off and Jack had gotten home after his suspension from school, and they had received the card from Julian and from Augie's family, and he had just confided in his mother and everything that had happened. And I bet that was a huge relief to get that off his chest. It never feels good to hold things like that in. Okay, so this chapter is called Letters, Emails, Facebook, Texts. Oh boy. I say, oh boy, because sometimes people can say some things on social media that just aren't kind. I know I can count on you to never do that. That's really important. Okay, letters, emails, Facebook, texts. December 18. Dear Mr. Tushman, I am very, very sorry for punching Julian. It was very, very wrong for me to do that. I am writing a letter to tell him that too. If it's okay, I would really rather not tell you why I did what I did, because it doesn't really make it right anyway. Also, I would rather not make Julian get in trouble for having said something he should not have said. Very sincerely, Jack Will. December 18. Dear Julian, I am very, very, very sorry for hitting you. It was wrong of me. I hope you are okay. I hope your grown-up tooth grows in fast. Mine always do. Sincerely, Jack Will. December 26. Dear Jack, thank you so much for your letter. One thing I've learned after being a middle school director for 20 years, there are almost always more than two sides to every story. Although I don't know the details, I have an inkling that what may have sparked the confrontation with Julian. While nothing justifies striking another student, ever, I also know good friends are sometimes worth defending. This has been a tough year for a lot of students, as the first year of middle school usually is. Keep up the good work and keep being the fine boy we all know you are. All the best, Lawrence Tushman, Middle School Director. And then the next one says, to L. Tushman at beecherschool.edu, copied on it, John Will at Phillips Academy, Amanda Will at Copper Beach Org, from Melissa Albans, and then it says subject, Jack Will. Dear Mr. Tushman, I spoke with Amanda and John Will yesterday, and they expressed their regret at Jack's having punched our son Julian in the mouth. I am writing to let you know that my husband and I support your decision to allow Jack to return to Beecher Prep after a 2-day suspension. Although I think hitting a child would be valid grounds for expulsion in other schools, I agree such extreme measures aren't warranted here. We have known the Will family since our boys were in kindergarten and are confident that every measure will be taken to ensure this doesn't happen again. To that end, I wonder if Jack's unexpectedly violent behavior might have been a result of too much pressure being placed on his young shoulders. I'm speaking specifically of the new child with special needs who both Jack and Julian were asked to befriend. In retrospect, and having now seen the child in question at various school functions and in the class pictures, I think it may have been way too much to ask our children to be able to process all that. Certainly, when Julian mentioned he was having a hard time befriending the boy, we told him he was off the hook in that regard. We think the transition to middle school is hard enough without having to place greater burdens or hardships on these young, impressionable minds. I should also mention that as a member of the school board, I was a little disturbed that more consideration was not given during this child's application process to the fact that Beecher Prep is not an inclusion school. There are many parents, myself included, who question the decision to let this child into our school district at all. At the very least, I am somewhat troubled that this child was not held to the same stringent application standards, i.e. interview, that the rest of the incoming middle school students were. Best, Melissa Perper Albans. To Melissa Albans, from L. Tushman, carbon copy, John Will and Amanda Will, subject, Jack Will. Dear Mrs. Albans, thank you for outlining your concerns. Were I not convinced that Jack Will is extremely sorry for his actions, and were I not confident that he would not repeat those actions, rest assured that I would not be allowing him back to Beecher Prep. As for your other concerns regarding our new student, August, please note that he does not have special needs. He is neither disabled, handicapped, nor developmentally delayed in any way, so there was no reason to assume anyone would take issue with his admittance to Beecher Prep. Go, Mr. Tushman. Whether it is an inclusion school or not, in terms of the application process, the admissions director and I both felt it within our right to hold the interview off-site at August's home for reasons that are obvious. We felt that the slight break in protocol was warranted, but in no way prejudicial, in one way or another, to the application review. August is an extremely good student and has secured the friendship of some truly exceptional young people, including Jack Will. At the beginning of the school year, when I enlisted certain children to be a welcoming committee to August. I did so as a way of easing his transition into a school environment. I did not think asking these children to be especially kind to a new student would place any extra burdens or hardships on them. In fact, I thought it would teach them a thing or two about empathy and friendship and loyalty. As it turns out, Jack Will didn't need to learn any of these virtues. He already had them in abundance. Thank you again for being in touch. Sincerely, Lawrence Tushman. To Melissa Albans from John Will. Carbon copied, L. Tushman and Amanda Will. Subject, Jack. Hi, Melissa. Thank you for being so understanding about this incident with Jack. He is, as you know, extremely sorry for his actions. I hope you do accept our offer to pay Julian's dental bills. We are very touched by your concern regarding Jack's friendship with August. Please know we have asked Jack if he felt any undue pressure about any of this, and the answer was a resolute no. He enjoys August's company and feels like he has made a good friend. Hope you have a happy new year. John and Amanda Will. Hi, August. So now it's going down to a new, looks like more social media. I really like how the author is changing up the structure here. And instead of just describing what the parents are saying, they're actually including it in here as if the emails and the social media posts were in the book. Pretty clever literary technique, I think. You should try it in a story that you write. Okay. Hi, August. Jackalope Will wants to be friends with you on Facebook. Jackalope Will, 32 mutual friends. Thanks, the Facebook team. To Augie Doggy Pullman. Subject, sorry. Message, hey August, it's me, Jack Will. I notice I'm not on your friends list anymore. Hope you friend me again, because I'm really sorry. I just wanted to say that. Sorry. I know why you're mad at me now. I'm sorry. I didn't mean that stuff I said. I was so stupid. I hope you can forgive me. Hope we can be friends again. Jack. One new text message from August, December 31st, 4:47 p.m. Got your message. You know why I'm mad at you now? Did Summer tell you? One new text message from Jackwell, December 31st at 4:49 p.m. She told me bleeding scream as a hint, but didn't get it at first. Then I remember seeing bleeding scream in homeroom on Halloween. Didn't know it was you. Thought you were coming as Boba Fett. One new text message from August, December 31, 4:51 p.m. I changed my mind at the last minute. Did you really punch Julian? One new text message from Jackwell. Yeah, I punched him. Knocked out a tooth in the back, a baby tooth. One new text message from August. Why'd you punch him? Question mark, question mark, question mark. I don't know. Liar. I bet he said something about me, right? He's a jerk, but I was a jerk too. Really, really, really sorry for what I said, dude, okay? Can we be friends again? Okay. Awesome. But tell me the truth, okay? Why'd you really want to kill yourself if you were me? No, I swear on my life, but dude, I would want to kill myself if I were Julian. Yes, dude, we're friends again. Back from winter break. Oh my gosh, I am so thankful that they have made up. I'm so thankful that Jack apologized and that Augie accepted the apology. I can't wait to see how their friendship progresses from here. Ooh, so we have some falling action happening. I can't wait to fill that out on the organizer. Okay, back from winter break. Despite what Tushman said, there was no clean slate when I went back to school in January. In fact, things were totally weird from the second I got to my locker in the morning. I'm next to Amos, who was always a pretty straight-up kid, and I was like, yo, what's up? And he basically just nodded a half hello and closed his locker door and left. I was like, okay, that was bizarre. And then I said, hey, what's up, to Henry, who didn't even bother half smiling, but just looked away. Okay, something's up. Dissed by 2 people in less than 5 minutes? Not that anyone's counting. I thought I'd try one more time with Tristan, and boom, same thing. He actually looked nervous, like he was afraid talking to me. I've got a form of the plague now, is what I thought. This is Julian's payback. And that's pretty much how it went all morning. Nobody talked to me. Not true. The girls were totally normal with me. And August talked to me, of course. And actually, I have to say, both Maxes said hello, which made me feel kind of bad for never ever hanging out with them in the 5 years I've been in their class. I hoped lunch would be better, but it wasn't. I sat down at my usual table with Luca and Isaiah. I guess I thought since they weren't in this super popular group, but were kind of in the middle of the road jock kids, that I'd be safe with them. But they barely nodded when I said hello. Then when our table was called, they got their lunches and never came back. I saw them find a table way over on the other side of the cafeteria. They weren't at Julian's table, but they were near him, like on the fringe of popularity. So anyway, I'd been ditched. I knew table switching was something that happened in the 5th grade, but I never thought it would happen to me. I felt really awful being at the table by myself. I felt like everyone was watching me. It almost made me feel like I had no friends. I decided to skip lunch and go read in the library. The war. Oh boy. It was Charlotte who had the inside scoop on why everyone was dissing me. I found a note inside my locker at the end of the day. Meet me in room 301 right after school. Come by yourself, Charlotte. She was already inside the room when I walked up. Sup? I said. Hey, she said. She went over to the door, looked left and right, and then closed the door and locked it from the inside. Then she turned to face me and started biting her nail as she talked. Look, I feel bad what's going on, and I just wanted to tell you what I know. Promise you won't tell anyone I talk to you. Promise. So Julian had this huge holiday party over winter break, she said. I mean, huge. My sister's friend had her sweet 16 at the same place last year. There were like 200 people there. So, I mean, it's a huge place. Yeah, and, well, pretty much everybody in the whole grade was there. Not everybody, I joked. Right, not everybody, duh. But like even parents were there, like my parents were there. Julian's mom is the vice president of the school board, right? So she knows a lot of people. Anyway, so basically what happened at the party was that Julian went around telling everyone that you punched him because you had emotional problems. What? And that you've gotten expelled, but his parents begged his school not to expel you. What? And that none of it would have happened in the first place if Tushman hadn't forced you to be friends with Augie. He said his mom thinks that you, quote, unquote, snapped under the pressure. I couldn't believe what I was hearing. No one bought into that, right? I said. She shrugged. That's not even the point. The point is he's really popular. And my mom heard that his mom is actually pushing the school to review Augie's placement to Beecher, or application to Beecher. Can she do that? It's about Beecher not being an inclusion school. That's a type of school that mixes normal kids with students with special needs. That's just stupid. August doesn't have special needs. Yeah, but she's saying that if the school is changing the way they usually do things in some ways, but they're not changing anything. Yeah, they did. Didn't you notice they changed the theme of the New Year art show? In past years, 5th graders painted self-portraits, but this year they made us do those ridiculous self-portraits as animals, remember? So what? I know. I'm not saying I agree. I'm just saying that's what she's saying. I know. This is just so messed up. I know. Anyway, Julian said that he thinks being friends with Augie is bringing you down, and that for your own good, you need to stop hanging out with him so much. And if you start losing all your old friends, it'll be like a big wake-up call. So basically, for your own good, he's going to stop being your friend completely. Newsflash, I stopped being his friend completely first. Yeah, but he's convinced all the boys to stop being your friend for your own good. That's why but nobody's talking to you. You're talking to me. Yeah, well, this is more of a boy thing, she explained. The girls are staying neutral, except Savannah's group, because they're going out with Julian's group. But to everybody else, this is really a boy war. I nodded. She tilted her head to one side and she pouted like she felt sorry for me. Is it okay that I told you all this? She said. Yeah, of course. I don't care who talks to me or not. I lied. This is all just so dumb. She nodded. Hey, does August know any of this stuff? Of course not. At least not from me. And Summer? I don't think so. Look, I better go. Just so you know, my mom thinks Julian's mom is a total idiot. She said she thinks people like her are more concerned about what their kids' class pictures look like than doing the right thing. You heard about the photoshopping, right? Yeah, that was just sick. I have to agree. Totally, she answered, nodding. Anyway, I better go. I just wanted you to know what was up and stuff. Thanks, Charlotte. I'll let you know if I hear anything else, she said. Before she went out, she looked left and right out the door to make sure no one saw her leaving. I guess even though she was neutral, she didn't want to be seen with me. Whew, guys, standing up for the right thing can be hard sometimes, but it is always, always the right thing to do. Just remember that. Okay, switching tables, is the next chapter. The next day at lunch, stupid me, I sat down at a table with Tristan, Nino, and Pablo. I thought maybe they were safe because they weren't really considered popular, but they weren't out there playing D&D at recess either. They were sort of in between. And at first, I thought I scored because they were basically too nice to not acknowledge my presence when I walked over to the table. They all said, hey, though I could tell they all looked at each other. But then the same thing happened that happened yesterday. Our lunch table was called. They got their food and then headed toward a new table on the other side of the cafeteria. Unfortunately, Mrs. G, who was the lunch teacher that day, saw what happened and chased after them. That's not allowed, boys. She scolded them loudly. Oh, there's that word again. Remember, we defined scolded, and remember it means like to reprimand or say something angrily to someone. This is not that kind of school. You get right back to your table. Oh, great. Like that was going to help. Before they could be forced to sit back down at the table, I got up with my tray and walked away really fast. I could hear Mrs. G call my name, but I pretended not to hear, just kept walking to the other side of the cafeteria behind the lunch counter. Sit with us, Jack. It was Summer. She and August were sitting at their table, and they were both waving me over. Yes. So the next chapter is called Why I Didn't Sit with August the First Day of School. Okay, I'm a total hypocrite, I know. The very first day of school, I remember seeing August in the cafeteria. Everybody was looking at him, talking about him. Back then, no one was used to his face or even knew that he was coming to Beecher, so it was a total shocker for a lot of people to see him there on the first day of school. Most kids were even afraid to get near him. So when I saw him going into the cafeteria ahead of me, I knew he'd have no one to sit with, but I just couldn't bring myself to sit with him. I'd been hanging out with him all morning long because we had so many classes together, and I guess I was just kind of wanting a little normal time to chill with the other kids. So when I saw him move to a table on the other side of the lunch counter, I purposely found a table as far away from there as I could find. I sat down with Isaiah and Luca, even though I'd never met them before, and we talked about baseball the whole time, and I played baseball with them at recess. They became my lunch table from then on. I heard Summer had sat down with August, which surprised me because I knew for a fact she wasn't one of the kids that Tushman had talked to about being nice or being friends with Augie. So I knew she was doing it just to be nice, and that was pretty brave, I thought. So now here I was sitting with Summer and August, and they were being totally nice to me as always. I filled them in about everything Charlotte had told me, except for the whole big part about my having snapped under the pressure of being August's friend, or the part about Julian's mom saying that Augie had special needs, or the part about the school board. I guess all I had really told him was how Julian had had a holiday party and managed to turn the whole grade against me. It just feels so weird, I said, To not have people talking to you, pretending you don't even exist. Augie started smiling. You think? He said sarcastically. Welcome to my world. Wow. Interesting. I feel like I'm going to put a sticky note here because I feel like this is a point where Jack is changing. We had placed a sticky note earlier. A lot of times in novels, characters really evolve and they change. And it seems like Jack is reflecting on his past behavior and is really learning a lot. So I'm just marking these pages just so I know where they are to come back to it later. Okay, this chapter is called Sides. So here are the official sides. And Summer at lunch the next day. Said Summer at lunch the next day. She pulled out a folded piece of loose leaf paper and opened it. It had 3 columns of names. Jack's side, Julian's side, neutrals. Jack's side. Jack, August, Reed, Max G, Max W. Julian's side. Miles, Henry, Amos, Simon, Tristan, Pablo, Nino, Isaiah, Luca, Jake, Toland, Roman, Ben, Emmanuel, Zeke, Tommaso. Neutrals. Malik, Remo, Jose, Leaf, Ram, Yvonne, Russell. All right. So where'd you get this? Said August, looking over my shoulder as I read the list. Charlotte made it, Summer answered quickly. She gave it to me last period. She said she thought you should know who was on your side, Jack. Yeah, not many people, that's for sure, I said. Reed is, she said, and the 2 Maxes. Great. Don't be mean, said Summer. I think Charlotte likes you, by the way. Yeah, I know. Are you going to ask her out? Are you kidding? I can't, now that everybody's acting like I have the plague. The second I said it, I realized I shouldn't have said it. There was this awkward moment of silence. I looked at Augie. It's okay, he said. I knew about that. Sorry, dude, I said. I didn't know they called it the plague, though, he said. I figured it was more like the cheese touch or something. Oh, yeah, like in Diary of a Wimpy Kid, I nodded. The plague actually sounds cooler, he joked. Like someone could catch the Black Death of ugliness. As he said this, he made air quotes. I think it's awful, said Summer. But Augie shrugged while taking a big sip from his juice box. Anyway, I'm not asking Charlotte out, I said. My mom thinks we're all too young to be dating anyway, she answered. I agree. What if Reed asked you out? I said. Would you go? I could tell she was surprised. No, she said. I'm just asking, I laughed. She shook her head and smiled. Why? What do you know? Nothing. I'm just asking, I said. I actually agree with my mom, she said. I think we're too young to be dating. I mean, I just don't know what the rush is. There is no rush. Yeah, I agree, said August, which is kind of a shame, with all those babes that keep throwing themselves at me and stuff. He said this in such a funny way that the milk I was drinking came out my nose when I laughed, which made us totally crack up. August's house. It was already the middle of January, and we still hadn't even chosen what science fair project we were going to work on. I guess I kept putting it off because I just didn't want to do it. Finally, August was like, dude, we have to do this. So we went to his house after school. I was really nervous because I didn't know if August had ever told his parents about what we now called the Halloween incident. It turns out the dad wasn't even home, and the mom was out running errands. I'm pretty sure from the 2 seconds I'd spent talking to her that Augie had never mentioned a thing about it. She was super cool and friendly towards me. When I first walked into Augie's room, I was like, whoa, Augie, you've got a serious Star Wars addiction. He had ledges full of Star Wars miniatures and a huge The Empire Strikes Back poster on his wall. I know, right? He laughed. He sat down on a rolling chair next to his desk, and I plopped down in a beanbag chair in the corner. That's when his dog waddled into the room right up to me. He was on your holiday card, I said, letting the dog sniff my hand. He corrected me, Daisy. You can pet her. She doesn't bite. When I started petting her, she basically just rolled over into her back. She wants you to rub her tummy, said August. Okay, this is the cutest dog I've ever seen, I said, rubbing her stomach. I know, right? She's the best dog in the world. Aren't you, girlie? As soon as she heard Augie's voice say that, the dog started wagging her tail and went over to him. Who's my little girlie? Who's my little girlie? August was saying as she licked him all over his face. I wish I had a dog, I said. My parents think our apartment's too small. I started looking around at the stuff in his room while he turned on the computer. Hey, you've got an Xbox 360? Can we play? Dude, we're here to work on a science fair project. Do you have Halo? Of course I have Halo. Please, can we play? He had logged onto the Beecher website and was now scrolling down Miss Rubin's teacher page through the list of science fair projects. Can you see from there? He said. I sighed and went to sit on a little stool that was right next to him. Cool iMac, I said. What kind of computer do you have? Dude, I don't even have my own room, much less my own computer. My parents have this ancient Dell that's practically dead. Okay, how about this one, he said, turning the screen in my direction so I would look. I made a quick scan of the screen and my eyes literally started blurring. Making a sun clock, he said? That sounds kind of cool. I leaned back. Can't we just make a volcano? Everyone makes volcanoes. Duh, because it's easy, I said, petting Daisy again. What about how to make crystal spikes out of Epsom salt? Sounds boring, I answered. So why do you call her Daisy? He looked up from the screen. My sister named her. I wanted to call her Darth. Actually, technically speaking, her full name is Darth Daisy, but we never really called her that. Darth Daisy, that's funny. Hi, Darth Daisy, I said to the dog, who rolled onto her back again for me to rub her tummy. Okay, this one is the one, said August, pointing to a picture on the screen of a bunch of potatoes with wires poking out of them. How to build an organic battery made of potatoes. Now that's cool. It says here you could power a lamp with it. We could call it the Spud lamp or something. What do you think? Dude, that sounds way too hard. You know I suck at science. Shut up, you do not. Yeah, I do. I got a 54 on my last test. I suck at science. No, you don't. And that was only because we were still fighting and I wasn't helping you. I can help you now. This is a good project, Jack. We've got to do it. Fine, whatever, I shrugged. Just then there was a knock at the door. A teenage girl with long, dark, wavy hair poked her head inside the door. She wasn't expecting to see me. Oh, hey, she said to both of us. Hey, Via, said August, looking back at the computer screen. Via, this is Jack. Jack, that's Via. Hey, I said, nodding hello. Hey, she said, looking at me carefully. Remember, Via knows, because Augie confided in her. I knew the second Augie said my name that he had told her about the stuff I had said about him. I could tell from the way she looked at me. In fact, the way she looked at me made me think she remembered me from that day at Carvel on Ames 4th Avenue all those years ago. Augie, I have a friend I want you to meet, okay, she said. He's coming over in a few minutes. Is he your new boyfriend? August teased. Via kicked the bottom of his chair. Just be nice, she said, and left the room. Dude, your sister's cute, I said. I know. She hates me, right? You told her about the Halloween incident. Yeah, she hates me, or yeah, you told her about Halloween. Both. Oh, okay. Looks like we have just this one last chapter before we go to part 5. That's Justin. Okay. All right, this chapter is called The Boyfriend. 10 minutes later, the sister came back with this guy named Justin. Seemed like a cool enough dude. Longish hair, little round glasses. He was carrying a big shiny silver case that ended in a sharp point on one end. Justin, this is my little brother August, said Via, and that's Jack. Hey guys, said Justin, shaking our hands. He seemed a little nervous. I guess maybe it was because he was meeting August for the first time. Sometimes I forget what a shock it is the first time you meet him. Cool room. Are you Via's boyfriend? Augie asked mischievously, and his sister pulled his cap down over his face. What's in your case? I said. A machine gun? Ha, answered the boyfriend. That's funny. No, it's a fiddle. Justin's a fiddler, said Via. He's in a Zydeco band. The heck is a Zydeco band? Said August, looking at me. It's a type of music, said Justin, like Creole music. What's Creole? I said. You should tell people that it's a machine gun, said Augie. Nobody would ever mess with you. Ha, I guess you're right, Justin said, nodding and tucking his hair behind his ears. Creole's the kind of music they play in Louisiana, he said to me. Are you from Louisiana? I asked. No, he answered, pushing up his glasses. I'm from Brooklyn. I don't know why this made me want to laugh. Come on, Justin, said Via, pulling him by the hand. Let's go hang out in my room. Okay, see you guys later. Bye, he said. Bye, bye. As soon as they left the room, August looked at me smiling. I'm from Brooklyn, I said, and we both started laughing hysterically. I'm so glad they resolved their friendship. Okay, so the next section is part 5, and it's titled Justin. So interesting. Sounds like we are going to get to hear things from his point of view. So he must have a pretty big part in this novel. Interesting. All right, Lions, we will pick up from here tomorrow, and I think we'll be able to add a piece to the falling action, or how the problem starts to get resolved. So this is exciting. I'm glad we're starting to see things get a little bit better for Augie. All right, just a reminder of what we talked about, what we learned today. So remember, today on our plot diagram, we added the events that contributed to the rising action. In other words, the important things that happened in the story that resulted in the climax, or the big fat mess of the story, okay, the big problem. And so the events that led to this big problem were that Augie's family, and I'm going to zoom in a little bit so we can see a little bit better. Okay, so the first thing that happened was Augie and his family decided that Augie would begin attending private school. Till this point, August had been homeschooled by his mother. And then Augie went on the tour of his new school, and he met Jack, Julian, and Charlotte. Jack began a friendship with Augie on this tour, and Julian started to become a rival. And then the thing that happened right before the big problem was that at the last minute, Augie decided that he would not wear his Boba Fett costume because he was running late. Instead, he threw on the Bleeding Scream costume. And then because he did that, remember, Jack didn't know it was him, and he was talking about him. And I did come across Boba Fett while I was reading, and it looks like there's one B, so I'll go ahead and fix that. So that's what good readers and writers do. They go back to their story to check spelling as well. Okay, Lions, I will see you right back here tomorrow, and it looks like we'll have something to add to the falling action. Bye, Lions. Thanks for joining.